I have a black cat, arguably the best kind of cat, and she's very cool. Her name is Rowan Witchbane, which is arguably the best name for a black cat. Are you coming up to say hi? Because I'm talking about you? You should say, Rowan Witchbane is here to hang out and read the teleprompter. You like being in the spotlight? Of course she does. That's all she ever wants. The spotlight. And all the stuff on the hobby table. Okay, and my friend Hoffman, who likes to be called Lord Hoffman, no, he doesn't. I just like antagonizing him on the internet. He's one of those, like, true collectors, as well as a top-tier model builder. And he gave me this very cool little model kit, which I should have in my hand to show you. Pardon me. I am so prepared to do these things. True professionalism here. I fired all my assistants for their lack of assistance. I amuse myself all the time. I don't need friends. Let me start over. So, this is a fiasco. I've already built the kit, so it's just pieces in here. So how do I do this without making noise? Anyway, let me jump back on script here. Back on task. He gave me this very cool little model kit that he found on one of his favorite sites, HobbyLink Japan. Now, back in the 90s, let me say, editing will fix everything. It always does. Back in the 90s, he introduced me to the whole resin garage kit scene. But I've mentioned that before, and we're going to talk about it in another video. I've got something else planned that will tie into that topic. But yeah, he gave me that little model kit, and I truly did think it would just be fun to build with you guys. And now Rowan is over here opening up the window blinds and making light come in where it's not supposed to come in. Hey, would you get out of there? You have to wreck everything. You're just a environmental assassin. Get out of there. Has it ever taken me this long to get to the intro? I had one more line in the script, but it just doesn't really matter at this point. That last line was, and also, little, in this case, turned out to be a major understatement. Greetings, good humans, and welcome to Tabletop Alchemy, where sometimes our hobby journey gives us a peek at the vast hidden valleys in the plastic model landscape. So many cool things out there. What are you doing? You've got to be kidding me. Frazzled? Who's frazzled? It's not me. No way. Frazzled but in focus. That's all that counts. And we thank our patrons for supporting some of these off-the-map hobby excursions. So, here's the kit. Imported from Japan. One thing Hoffman and I both enjoy about a lot of Japanese products is the packaging. It's a pretty nice box, right? Now, I have no idea what Cheetosarium is. That's my best guess at how to pronounce that. I tried to find out about it online, but from what I could gather after a rigorous few minutes of searching is that it might just be a line of models from this Good Smiles company. If you Google it, you'll see a couple of anime-style characters in armor and these cat kits. That seems to be about it. It's occurring to me that most of you are probably asking why I'm doing this as a video. To be honest, I don't really know. I just thought this kit was a super fun, unique gift, and since it's a model, it made sense to share it. To me. So, thanks to Hoffman for thinking of me when he picked up a couple of these sets, and this is why having friends with different and varying interests pays dividends. You get to discover new things that you might never have found on your own. Fun fact, Hoffman has come to visit me here at my place, and he's brought along his own companion of the canine persuasion, and when he does, we have to sequester Rowan Witchbane in the back room because no matter how many times I tell her they come in peace, she's adamant that she must assassinate the intruder. No matter how small a threat he poses. Because Buster, that's Buster right there, he's smaller than Rowan and definitely would not live to tell the tale of any kind of scrap he got into with the Witchbane. But yeah, the box art is super nice, and the ceiling stickers are nice, and there are multiple cute little cat motifs everywhere. It's pretty cool. But this is my favorite bit right here. This is apparently a 1-to-1 scale model. I'm not sure what they mean by that, but I find it very entertaining. It's also made out of ABS plastic, which I find cool because that's what Lego is made out of. Let's see what's inside the box, right? Okay, so we've got a single bag of small sprues. And look, the little kitty heads are in separated sections. That's pretty cute. And the instructions are pretty nice. Yeah, these are great. They seem very readable. Looks like we'll have to use glue in a couple of spots, and it's just one like big fold out. They've got some instructions here on how to trim the parts off the sprues to help keep the parts as intact as possible, like to alleviate the sort of dinging that will happen when you sort of trim parts off sprues, because I don't think they intend this little kit to be painted. There's nothing stopping anyone from painting it, but ABS is notoriously a little bit more difficult to paint. Regular paints kind of slide off of that ABS surface. But anyway, you'll see later on why it's actually a very good tip for this particular kit. So let's check out the sprues. And yeah, here's our first encounter with just how tiny these parts are. Some of them are literally minuscule. I mean, I have to go get a different pair of glasses to look at this now. My regular readers are not doing they're not pulling their weight here. I got to go get the +5s that I use for miniature painting. These parts are tiny, but the sprues are printed with very clear numbers. Even though they're super tiny, the parts are very nice. It's going to be fun, but it's also going to be, I mean, I can tell already, it's going to be tricky. Okay, this is the second sprue, which apparently makes a little display box of some kind. I like the design. I really like the tiny white cat logo. Tiny, but super sharp printing. That's very Japanese, right? So I'm cutting out the pieces for the first leg, and dude, the pieces are even smaller once they're off the sprue. Holy cow, I can barely hold the parts in my massive fingers. Good Lord. In fact, yeah, I decided to switch to the macro lens because the previous 40mm just wasn't doing the trick. I did not understand how tiny this little model was going to be. So there we go. There's some tiny detail right there. So while cutting out the second leg under the macro lens, I'm realizing that this is just it just gets trickier to do on camera with the macro lens. Okay, so here's an example of trimming and sanding and the graying of the black plastic that happens when you scuff the surface. Hoffman recommended I just try rubbing the part on my Levi's, but I was wearing flannel pajamas when I built this because I'm typically always wearing flannel pajamas if I'm here at home. You could call me the dude.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me.
Are you employed, sir?
Employed?
And the flannel seemed to work pretty well too. I don't know if Levi's would be better. I didn't test that yet. It's not perfect, and definitely a polishing rag or one of those 4-surface sanding sticks that has a polishing section would probably work even better. But this thing is so tiny, I'm just not going to worry too much about it, which is also why I'm not bothering with removing mold lines and stuff like that. I'll never be able to see any of this stuff without my +5 reading glasses anyway, and it's not like anyone will be looking at this through a macro lens, except for you, right now. And speaking of which, maintaining focus, which I've already bitched about, is a truly Herculean effort on my side, one in which I failed many, many, many times. I had to use the autofocus and hope for the best, which apparently is not best enough. Good on me for trying, right? Taking on Herculean tasks, because I'm just that tough. You're welcome. I'm such a dork. This part I tried putting together numerous times, but it didn't work until I stopped trying to put it in backward. And this is one of the 2 parts that gets a little glue, and I tried to be very conservative with the application of glue here. We're not supposed to get it on the ball joints because the little cat's supposed to be posable after the fact, so we don't want no leakage if at all possible. I gotta be honest, I don't particularly like putting models together in general. I like painting them when they're assembled, but assembling models has never been one of my favorite things to do. I'm impatient and not very dexterous or clever with my hands, and it's all just part of the hurdle I have to get across to get to the painting and, the done part, which is the part I want to get to the most. And no, we're not painting the model like I mentioned, so even better, we'll get done faster. All right, there's 2 hind legs and half a torso, and the leg ball joints press on pretty nicely. I don't know who's got hands tiny enough to mess with the pose of this little model like multiple times. I'm going to be lucky just to get this thing together without losing a piece. Now, here's another example of that sanding, scuffing, and polishing on flannel technique I spent years perfecting, and you can see it's paid off dividends. How am I using the same word multiple times? Alright, look at me trying to put this foreleg together. I am a master craftsman. There is no doubt of that. I need a damn microscope. And I keep showing you shots of cutting things off sprues because I find it oddly satisfying to watch. I'm literally just pretending to be Plasmo at this point. Have you seen Plasmo's videos? He's so good, not only at building models, but at filming the building of models. His videos are like visual ASMR to me. Definitely check him out if you have any interest in micro building or plastic kit assembly, or not just the assembly. He's an excellent model maker. His videos are rad. Trimming with the X-Acto knife, some sanding, some polishing. I will say that at this scale, with these size parts, it's not, like super fun. It's kind of like an amusing test of one's patience. Like here, I just cut out a 10-minute clip of an empty work surface where the part I was working on slipped out of my fingers and disappeared onto the floor, which is covered in a black packing blanket, for sound. And the part is like maybe 5 millimeters long, and eventually, much to my shocked amazement, I did find it. So here's putting a little bit of glue on it once I had it returned to the desk and installed into the model. Now we put both back legs on, and that was a comedy of errors, but pushing the two torso halves together was, again, pretty satisfying. The model is pretty nice, kind of more so because of how tiny it is. The neck piece is jointed in, again, just press fit, but it clicks in there, and now the head. Eyes wide or eyes closed? Wide open eyes, of course. The whites are just too contrasty and cool not to use, right? I gotta trim the little ears. I gotta be careful not to ding them too bad. And then this neck ball, which is literally the tiniest part in the whole kit. Hoffman recommended I put the cat head into the ball before trimming it off the sprue because there was a 100% chance that I would lose that ball part if I cut it off on its own. And that worked like a charm, and with a little trimming to smooth that final ball joint, it pops into the neck piece, and there's a little Rowan Witchbane. Except we have the final part, and this is too cool. The cat needs a tail, and check this out. They gave us 8 tails to choose from. Not only can you choose the tail you want, you can hot swap the tails at any time. You can also hot swap the head out for the sleepy eyes too. So I'm going to go for this trippy leafy tail thing as the first contender, and there we go. Now, the base is actually a hinged box that has an insert plate with a stud that holds the cat's foot, and you can store it inside this little box whenever the cat wants to, go be antisocial or whatever. The box is very easy to assemble. The hinge is very simple, and there we go. A fully posable cat that is super tiny and that I will never pose because it's just too small. I mean, I could go in with some tweezers and pose it, but I'm a little twitchy after assembling the microscopic parts, so we'll just let it stand as is for now. Oh, and to further cement my professional skill set in your minds, here's what I should have done at the beginning. Let's ramp the f-stop down and punch up the ISO so that the depth of field becomes much more manageable. It works great, and I'm certainly happy I did this at the very end rather than the beginning, so that I could make a point and share my wonderful photographic wisdom with you all. I am all kinds of skilled.
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
Alright, all in all, a very cool little kit. Not recommended for anyone without dexterity, eagle eyesight, and a temperate disposition, but for those of you that qualify, this kit is also out of production. I'm sorry, it's a collector thing now. Oh man. I don't know why I thought that would be fun to write in such a mean way. I'm sorry. Apparently these might be limited releases, but it might get repopped, as scale modelers say, and it was actually available in both black and white plastic, so you could get either a black cat or a white cat, but only lunatics would willingly choose a white cat, right? So maybe go check out some non-gaming model kits. You might find something you think is very cool. Who knows? That's the fun part. See ya.